streaming live on Facebook. Joey, you're my first interview. And so there are folks that are out there, they're obviously on the Coast to Maine page. I'm Cameron Bonsey. I'm the VP of Marketing for Coast to Maine. I'm with Joey D, and Joey's family owns an independent nursery, Dees Nursery. They're also a garden center. They're a floral shop. They're an amazing customer of Coast to Maine. They're an amazing garden center, and Joey's got some great stories to tell. I'm having Joey on today because they have a Christmas tree farm up in Franklin, Maine. So it made sense at this time of year to not only promote Maine, promote Dees, promote Coast to Maine, because we all work in partnership in this whole crazy world. So Joey, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So one of the things I wanted to kind of get this quick little history, because what's really important to all of us at Coast to Maine is to buy local, right? And I know this year has been an amazing year for independent garden centers. It's been a lot of work, even more so than you usually do. But kind of talk maybe briefly about this year, then about your garden center.
Sure. You were here actually on around March 10th, and we had a big meeting here, and everything was going great at that moment. We were having actually an excellent start to the month of March, to the start of spring. And then by the 15th or 16th of March, New York State shut down. Retail, COVID-19 had hit here very hard. We were actually the first hotspot in the United States, and retail pretty much stopped. Yep. So we as a business, as a family, were lucky, and we're nimble enough where we adjusted very quickly as the spring season started. We started doing telemarketing. It finally made me get off my tail and get our website up and running. So we were selling online. And honestly, we actually had a very successful start to the season, considering what we were going through here. And unfortunately, right now, I think a lot of areas of the country are experiencing what we experienced very early within COVID-19. And if they're listening now and they're in those areas where they're starting to lock down, you can get through this. You can do it. Just be quick on your feet, and that's what we did. And the website, our telephone answering, which my daughters did most of it, right down to my 14-year-old, and we accomplished a lot in that short period of time. And then because we were deemed essential, little by little, people started venturing back into our business. And then, as everybody knows in our industry, gardening took on a whole new meaning to many people, many families. So we got very lucky, I think, as an industry.
So I think that being quick on your feet was something that you mentioned. And I know that in my years of experience in working with independent garden centers and the drive and being quick on your feet, because you're doers, right? You just have to go with the moment. You plan, but you got to go with the moment.
Right.
And talk about that family history of yours and how, your parents, in a sense, definitely taught you guys how to be quick on your feet, right?
Well, my parents, my dad and my mom started this business back in the late 50s with barely any money, and little by little grew the business, grew their family, and at one point or another, everyone in my family has worked in this business, whether they wanted to or not, as I think most of the businesses in this industry are. And even now, my parents had 8 children. Only 4 of us work here full time. Myself, my 2 brothers, and my sister. But everybody gets pulled back in at one point or another during the season. So it's definitely a family affair, that's for sure. And now we have the second and third generation coming into this.
Well, and it's also managing that flow. And I know, look, I've had the joy of hanging out with your dad, your brother, your family some. It's one of the connections that we have at Coast to Maine that brings the biggest joy to me. It's about the people that we work with and the family, so many of them like yours too. And then your dad, he is an amazing person. And tell me a little bit. So he starts the garden center. It's in New York. and he doesn't have, much money. He just does it, right?
Right.
And
Wings it.
he wings it. And that's what you have to do sometimes.
Sure.
And then what in this week of Thanksgiving and then going into Christmas, I wanted to talk about your wonderful, the tree farm, the camp, everything up in Franklin, Maine, and those connections. So kind of tell me the story of your dad and, buying the camp that was a boys' camp and what it's turned
Sure.
into now.
So my parents had 8 kids, and as everybody knows, when you take a large family away on vacation, they're always a challenge, and they don't turn out to be good vacations, right? So he said to my mom, I have to get a place somewhere. So what is his first thing was to start upstate New York. He didn't see anything he liked. He ended over in New England, kind of went through there, and then don't ask me how, but he ended up in Maine. And he ended up in Bangor, Maine, and his real estate agent up there brought him to our current house and farm. And honestly, he was, I think at the time, in his early 30s, and his dad almost killed him. Like, who goes up to Maine? What are you doing up there? No one goes up to Maine, right? So turns out it was my grandfather's favorite place. So that's another story. But so that's what he did. And honestly, after it was an old boys camp, he got very lucky. We landed on we got very lucky because it's an amazing place. As you know, you've been there, on a lake, near Acadia National Park. So it's in a really great area. And so how the Christmas tree farm started was there were many small farms around us. And being in the garden center business, he started to buy from a couple of those local farms. And then he took a stab at it and said, I'm going to try to do this. And he started with a very small field. And now it's morphed into about 220 acres of Christmas trees. So it's a big farm.
So I'm going to do a screen share here, and hopefully we'll get to a picture of your dad. And hopefully you can see it so you know what I'm talking about. Can you
Yep,
see
there
that?
he is. Yes, I can see it.
There he is.
Yeah.
What does that picture say about him?
Well, that's it. That's him right there in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Basically, probably barking a couple of orders at us. This picture was only taken about a week ago.
Yep.
He's 85 years old, but he's right out there in the fields working with the crew. And what you're looking through right there is the baler that we use to tie the trees up. So it's actually a pretty cool shot. And so that's why I sent that to you, because I thought it was very good. And behind him is one of his grandsons, Tommy Jr.
Oh, that's awesome. I know, obviously. And your brother, Tommy, just came on before we started this whole thing. And what was the announcement he had?
He's having his second grandchild, he just told me. So that was big news. Yeah.
That's awesome. So,
yep.
And then, you sent these images, and I mean, this is a video.
Right.
But kind of it gives you the scope and the shape and the harvesting equipment that you have.
Yes.
The work.
So in this that last picture that you saw, that's what we use to harvest the larger trees. The 20 footers, the 25 footers, because we do have a pretty big customer base for that. Not only here at our store, but believe it or not, we also sell quite a few big trees to LL Bean every year.
You do?
Oh yeah, matter of fact, I think we sold them about 300 this year, and they use those in their pavilion there in Freeport, Maine, when they do that big Christmas scene. So when you go there, if you go there this Christmas, you'll see a lot of our trees right in that little display that they do in the front of the store.
I realize that. And,
yeah.
And you can see this piece of equipment work. It's amazing.
Oh, it's amazing.
This drone footage is terrific, by the way.
Yeah.
And
So I mean, that's probably a 25-foot right there, and it handles it with ease, as you can see, and then brings it to the road, and that's where we bail them up.
And then you own that road, you own the property, you have to maintain that road, right?
That's correct. Yes, we do. Now we're not a typical plantation farm that you're probably most of the people on here or who watch this. We're considered a wild stand, which means the trees, as you can see, grow in all different ways. They don't grow in neat rows, you know. So it's considered a wild stand, and a lot of the the sustainability of the farm is they reseed themselves. So we have a lot of trees throughout the farm that are extra large that reseed the fields for us. So in this particular picture that you're looking at, they're actually clearing out some crappy ones to get to some good ones. So we actually use that tree right there for brush to make the wreaths and the garland. So we don't waste anything. And after we cut it, we bale them to brush if we don't use it as an actual tree.
Go back to the reseeding because the sound might have cut you off.
Okay.
You mentioned the reseeding and the maintenance of the property.
Sure. So, like I said, our tree farm is a wild stand, which it's not like your typical plantation farm. And most of our trees, we do plant quite a bit, but most of them reseed naturally with trees throughout the farm. So that's how our trees grow. So you won't see them in neat rows like you would at a traditional farm.
Yep. Yeah.
Which I think most of the farms up in Maine are that way. So this particular shot you're looking at now, this particular field was heavily harvested this year, as you can see. So you'll still see some trees left in there, but then if you were able to zoom in, you'll see a ton of new ones coming up. Some that we planted and some that are live, that were reseeded naturally.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, right?
That's very cool. Now I just need to get this back to, so I can go to the next picture too. As you can see, I've got all kinds of pictures, and thank you for supplying me with these. So
that's Chris, one of our managers here at the store. That's Chris. He actually lives in Oceanside where we are, but he goes up to the harvest every year.
And so one of the things is this is a real team building thing too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes. You had other pictures of everybody, the guys together out there.
So now this particular picture is certain fields in our farm are just for tipping. And the tips are what we use to make our wreaths and our garland, all of which are made right here at the store. We make all our own. We buy very little, if any, balsam wreaths or balsam garland. We make it right here at Dees.
That's awesome. I mean,
which gives us amazing quality control. Because as I'm sure most of your people, your customer base knows, very hard to find quality wreaths and garlands nowadays. And that's why we started making our own.
No, and I think we have many independent gardens that do that, garden centers. I always encourage people to do that because you are getting a fresher, higher quality wreath than you would going to other places that might be national or whatever.
Yes, so, absolutely.
And there you got trees waiting to be loaded.
Correct. That's one of our holding lots. You know, we have a few of these throughout the farm. When we harvest, they get pulled by trailer to this area, and then when it's time to load them, they get loaded onto the tractor trailer trucks.
Awesome. Do you have and what do you well, look at this here.
All right, that's my brother Tom and his son Tommy Jr. and Brian.
So this is the piece. So you got your money-making product behind you. You got the family in the forefront. You got people building and maintaining relationships, working really hard, also playing hard, and the right thing. I think that's the story right there, isn't it?
It's a good balance. Even though we're technically on vacation in the summertime when we're up there, we do work on the farm, usually half days, and we get a lot accomplished, believe it or not, in those days that we're all up there, and everybody takes a turn. So, the farm is constant work, but at the same time, in that beautiful area, as you know, we have a great time when we're up there.
Do you the trees, and I see Tommy working there doing the maintenance. You got
sharpening the chainsaws. Yeah.
I've been in there. He needs to come sharpen my chainsaw because I never have.
Yeah, he's good at it. Yeah, that's about it. He's very good at that.
Next time I come down, I'm bringing the chainsaw.
Absolutely.
And whose dog is this?
That's my dog. He goes up. That's Charlie. He's the store mascot or one of them, but he goes up at the harvest every year. And on that particular truck that you're looking at, you could see
Yeah.
the white labels. They're either a size.
Okay.
They're marked as a size, and then there's some there that are special order. So we have many big, many towns around here that will order a specific size, and we cut them to order. So we do very few large trees are done on spec. Most are done special order.
So you actually provide some of the town Christmas trees that might be in a town square down there?
Yes. And we've been lucky enough to have, doesn't happen all the time, but every once in a while we'll get our trees down Park Avenue in New York City.
Wow.
South Street Seaport has gotten a tree from us a few times. But it all depends. We don't actually bid on those jobs. We have clients of ours that bid on them, and sometimes they win, sometimes they don't. But if one of our landscape clients wins the bid, they sometimes will buy the trees from us because we do have a good source of large trees.
That's awesome. I mean, and there obviously is Tommy using the chain.
Yes.
And it's funny. I was looking at that big piece of harvesting equipment and thinking, well, your father didn't have that when he first started this.
No. Yeah. We've only had that for a little bit of time.
So you've obviously invested in a lot of equipment, and I love seeing this picture of the crew. And you got, do you just sell your own trees, or do you have other trees that you sell? Do you just sell what you harvest?
We sell, what we grow at our farm is balsam fir, which I'm sure you've heard of. But that's not the only style or variety of tree we sell. We do sell quite a bit of Fraser fir and also a little bit of Douglas. So I would say balsam is about half of our, maybe a little more than half of what we sell here. But Fraser fir is a very close second. And unfortunately, we can't grow those on our farm. We've tried. It's kind of difficult. I don't know if it's the climate. Yep. So we basically abandoned trying to grow other varieties. We have experimented, but we stick to what we know, which is balsam, and that's what we do.
And what do you give for just basic, maintenance and having the tree last into Christmas and beyond? Is it just watering? Is it a fresh cut?
Yeah, well, fresh cut, water. Obviously, there are some additives like Prolong that you can add to it. But I think what we try to recommend to our customers is, especially this year, we've sold quite a bit already. I think there's a panic out there that there's a shortage. Sure. So, people are buying very early, but we actually hand out a sheet to our customers that it's way too early to put in. We don't recommend that you put it into the house until, maybe after the 15th of December.
That's awesome.
I have some knucklehead making faces at me in front of me right now.
I noticed that. I'm surprised that you would have a knucklehead that would work for you, Joe.
He doesn't. He's a customer, actually.
So I'm going to bring it back to you and I.
Okay.
And I think that that overview of the family and the tree farm,
right,
perfect. And I personally, for me at Coast Maine, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for doing business with us.
Yes.
Taking care of your local community. I hope that we'll be doing business for years to come.
I think so.
Yeah, and I hope that we're bringing business to you, and you guys are also part of the Master Nursery Co-op.
Correct.
Which is a co-op of over 500 garden centers and growing rapidly now across the country. And we crop branded soil that you folks sell. And we're very proud to have that relationship and to support you in those efforts. So thank you.
Yeah, no, we through the co-op have built our relationship even stronger with Coast of Maine, and not only through the bumper crop soil conditioner, but now you guys are our #1 potting soil provider with Gardener's Gold.
Yep.
And so, you know, we've been very, very happy with it and very profitable with both. So, and the lobster compost, which, you know,
Is that
was,
your
I think,
phone?
our,
Is
yeah,
that
that's
your
my phone.
phone?
That's my phone. I know, right? I was supposed to silence that. Well, it's after 9, so now it's, as I'm sure most people know, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, I think we started with you many years ago with lobster compost, and
Yes.
now bumper crop, and now Gardener's Gold. So, you know, it's been an excellent, excellent product for us, line for us, I should say. So we love it. We love the profitability, and not to mention, forgetting that, more so the results for our customers who come in and ask for it now, which is really good, because if they're having success, it just means better for both of our companies.
Sure. And one of the things that I'll be having you back on, because we're going to be celebrating our 25th year in 2021, and
Great.
your garden center started doing business with us right around the beginning,
Yes.
in 96 or 97. So we
And
made,
honestly, it was that link to Maine. I
yeah,
think that it absolutely was,
yeah,
the fact that, you know, we have such a love for the state of Maine, and we do business there and we live there.
sure.
I know the fact that it had Maine in the label was one of the main reasons we started with it, and we've never looked back. So that's a good thing.
Well, Maine is a wonderful place, and
Yeah,
hopefully Costa Maine's doing exactly the right things, which I know we
I
are.
think so.
So I'm going to have you back. Please give my love to your entire family.
Same
Uh,
here.
Wonderful holiday season. Hopefully you can get together. The store obviously will be closed on Thanksgiving, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then we're open straight through till Christmas Day, as I'm sure everybody in the business is. But it's starting out to be an excellent holiday season, and it's going to be a great way to finish off the year, especially with what's going on. I think it's a big time of year for everybody to celebrate.
That's awesome. We need it this
Yep.
year. So,
Yeah,
all right, man.
absolutely.
I'm going to
All
let you
right,
go.
thanks.
All right. Thank you. Have a
All
great one.
right. You too. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.